Hey gamers, welcome to my game room. AJ from Rolling With Roc here. It's Wednesday, ROCtober 28th, and we are continuing the countdown to number 1 of my top 67 board games of all time with numbers 10 through 6. First off, I want to say for anybody who was wondering, there will not be a Roc review this week. That was supposed to come out on Tuesday, but I was having some issues with uploading Monday's video, so that actually went up Tuesday morning. Now Wednesday is our normal scheduled top 67 board games. This is 10 through 6 like I just said, so we're just going to leave the Roc review for this week and continue with the rest of the week. Thursday we'll have a unboxing video of Hues and Cues from the op. Friday will be numbers 5 through 1 of my top 67. Saturday, I will be playing a game with my son Remy, Fish Food from Goliath Games. Saturday night, over on Twitch, we are doing a Halloween costume party Among Us stream with a bunch of board gamers, so I hope you join us for that. That's at twitch.tv/rollingwithroc. And then on Sunday night at 9 p.m. it will be Eastern Standard Time at that point, because Daylight Savings Time will be over. We'll be doing our normal board game stream at Rolling With Roc on Twitch. And then ROCtober is over, so we've only got a couple days left. Remember to leave comments on videos labeled ROCtober during this month to get entered into Board Game Trick or Treat. I think what I'm going to do is announce the winners on Saturday night during the Among Us live stream on Twitch, and then I will film a short congratulated video for YouTube as well and put that up either Sunday or Monday. So that is the plan for the rest of ROCtober. One quick reminder that these are my opinions on board games that I have played. There's lots of games out there. Many games I do enjoy, but there's also many games that I have never gotten to experience, so I cannot rate those. So if you're not seeing a game, that is maybe a reason why it just may not be a game for me. That's also another possibility. But as we're getting closer to the end of this list, you can start to see what is and isn't on here. And if you see anything that you think is missing that you think I will enjoy, please go ahead and let me know in the comments, and also let me know in the comments about what you think of the games to follow. And with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get right back into the list. We're in the top 10 with number 10. In at number 10 is the only board game on this list that is not currently in this collection. It is a fairly new game that I have played a lot, but I have never played it physically. And that is the younger sibling to Welcome to New Las Vegas from Blue Cocker and Deepwater Games. And the reason I have been able to play it a lot is, as I mentioned with Welcome to New Las Vegas, it is played over on Deepwater Games' Twitch channel, which is through their parent company, Oxeye Media. And it is usually played, I believe, on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And it is It's a successor game to Welcome to. It's not an expansion. It's its own game, but it has a lot of the same concepts as Welcome to. In this case, instead of building houses in a neighborhood like in Welcome to, you are building hotels on the Vegas Strip. You have 4 different streets across instead of 3 like in Welcome to, and then you have 1st through 11th Avenues, which are the vertical columns, and you have different actions. So the actions they feel similar to the actions in Welcome to, but they are different. So instead of pools, you have show actions, and those accumulate points. You have construction, where you have to construct the building first, and then you can put a number on it. You have the ability to gain favor with the mayor, which allows you to do different powers, which is something that was missing from Welcome to. You are able to, you're wanting to do strings on your streets. You get points for that. So you want to do strings of evens and odds, like 1, 3, 5, 7. you have a limousine that you take around the sheet, and that is going to earn you points when you go buy places you filled in numbers. But if you do not get your limousine back to where it started by the end of the game, you lose massive points. And it's a meteor welcome to. And I was actually just having this conversation with somebody, and I said it out loud, and it almost didn't make sense, but it is true. I equated Welcome to New Las Vegas in some ways to Queen Domino. And Welcome to and King Domino are like the base games. Now, these games aren't compatible, like playing together like King Domino and Queen Domino are. But the Welcome to New Las Vegas is a meteor, more things to do version of Welcome to, like how Queen Domino is a meteor, more things to do version of King Domino. But the really funny thing is if you can tell from my list, I like King Domino more in that series, but I really, really like Welcome to New Las Vegas even more. I mean, Welcome to was number 22 on this list, so extremely high. But Welcome to New Las Vegas is in the top 10. And I'm going to show a bunch of pictures at the end of this, just like quick 5-second flashes to show you pictures of the game, because I don't have the editing software to be able to insert that in while I'm talking to you. But it is a game that what you can do is there is an app on iPhone and on Android. It is a free app. It doesn't cost you anything. And you can download, there's apps for both Welcome to and Welcome to New Las Vegas from Outtro. Download the Welcome to New Las Vegas app. And then, if you're able to, check out Oxeye Media on Twitch. Go and see when they go live. I believe on Wednesday afternoons, it's at 3 p.m. So this is going live on Wednesday. If it goes up prior to that and you guys see this, go check out Oxeye Media at 3 p.m. on Wednesday. I believe L should be playing Welcome to New Las Vegas. You download the app and you can play the game right there and see how it plays. I have probably played somewhere in like the 20 to 40, maybe 50 games of Welcome to New Las Vegas. It is easily one of my most played games of this year because of the streams from the Oxeye Media channel, and just it's easy to get into the game. It's free to play because it's right on your phone, and you can play it, as long as you have your phone and another screen to watch on, and it's just fun to play. I highly recommend you check it out. If you like Welcome to, if you've played Welcome to at all, or you know anything about Welcome to, it's another flip and write game. You have a piece of paper, but you just do a little bit more. And my favorite thing is I like the mayor's favors that allow you to use different powers, so you have a little bit more control than you do in Welcome to. And I like at the bottom of the streets, if the first player who completes any avenue, a vertical column, gets an additional thing. You get a big hotel instead of a small hotel on that street. And that is something that I really like trying to get. It just has a little bit bigger puzzle, and I like that about that game. And oddly enough, I feel like I'm actually better at Welcome to New Las Vegas than I am at Welcome to as well. That may be another reason why I like it more on my list, but the game makes a little bit more sense. And I think, like I said, I think the player powers, being able to mitigate some bad things happening or being able to manipulate the board state just a little bit more, really does that for me. So go ahead and check out Oxeye Media's Twitch page. I will link that in the description. Like I said, right after I'm done talking, I'm going to put a couple of pictures to show you what the game looks like. Again, if you like Welcome to, it's very likely you will like Welcome to New Las Vegas as well. And I believe it's even on Board Game Arena that you can play for free as well. I think that's in a beta right now, if I can remember correctly, but you can check it out there. I'll put a link in the description for that as well. But in at number 10 on my top 67 board games of all time is Welcome to New Las Vegas from Outtro and Deep Water Games. Number 9. Number 9, it's morphin' time, because it is Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid. And I am a Power Rangers fan, mostly the original series, basically seasons 1 through 3, Mighty Morphin. I have seen a couple of the seasons after that, Turbo and In Space, but then I kind of got out of it. I've gone and re-educated myself a little bit just recently on, once I got into this game, on some of the other seasons and kind of seen recap videos of those seasons, so I know a little bit about them, but mostly my knowledge base is in the Mighty Morphin era and basically what they call the Zordon era, the first 5 seasons. But I have always enjoyed Power Rangers. I know a lot of people think, you know, if you go back and watch it now, it's probably very cheesy because it was a 90s show, but it is definitely one of my favorite IPs. And this game is from Renegade Game Studios. And they have treated the Power Rangers franchise with so much care. This game is just very, very, very good. It is a miniatures game, and so you have these figurines that I'm about to show you that I'm getting out right now, and this is the biggest portion of the game in my opinion. So let's just go ahead and get out Jason the Red Ranger right there. You got Jason. Go ahead and get out Trini the Yellow Ranger. Now, as you can see, they're fully their color that they are. Here's Billy the Blue Ranger. Zach the Black Ranger. And, of course, Kimberly the Pink Ranger. They are fully their color. You could paint these, and a lot of people have painted them, and they look amazing when they're painted. I've never really painted anything, let alone a miniatures figure. I would someday, if I ever have the free time to do so, I definitely do not right now, I would love to learn how to paint these because they would look gorgeous. But of course, along with your heroes, you have your villains like Rita Repulsa. And there's a couple other ones in here. But this is a miniatures and card game. You have a set of cards for each character that you have. So you have a specific set of cards for Jason the Red Ranger. And it is a deck of 10, and the mechanic that I really like about this game is your deck of 10 is all the cards that you get in the game. Those cards are not only your way of fighting, but they're also your life. So you can't just draw all of your cards, because if you ever run out of cards, you are KO'd. And if you get KO'd too many times, depending on the amount of players and what mode you're playing on, you can lose the game. So you have to really balance trying to get cards so that you can attack and do abilities and get energy. But again, at the bottom of every card, there are shield symbols. So I'll go ahead and show you 2 different cards. There's a card that has 2 shield symbols and a card that has 3 shield symbols. These are cards for the Mighty Morphin Green Ranger, which is not actually in the main box. There was a additional Tommy Oliver pack, which has a couple of his different Ranger modes. It does not have all of them. So this has 4 of them. It has Mighty Morphin Green, Mighty Morphin White, Turbo Red, and Dino Thunder Black. But it does not have Zeo Red because they made a separate pack for Zeo, so Tommy Oliver's Zeo Red is in that one. I don't have that pack yet. But here is Mighty Morphin Green with his Dragon Dagger, which is legit the coolest weapon in all of everything. You have Mighty Morphin White with Saba, which Saba would have been cooler if Saba had a better voice. It was a talking sword, and the voice was weird. But Tommy Oliver is my favorite Ranger. Tommy Oliver is either your favorite Ranger or your least favorite Ranger, usually. But Tommy Oliver was definitely my favorite ranger, specifically green. Green was better than white, but white was okay. But, so I had to get the Tommy Oliver pack. I also have the Zeo Gold pack, which is another ranger. This time, this is from Zeo era, so like what I was just talking about with the Zeo Rangers. But this is the 6th ranger from that era, so similar to Tommy in the original Mighty Morphin. This is the Gold Zeo Ranger, and in one instance, the Gold Zeo Ranger is actually Jason. So the original Mighty Morphin Red comes back as Zeo Ranger Gold and kind of flips the script on Tommy and Jason's relationship, because now one is the 6th ranger and the other one is the leader, which is always a very cool thing. I also have a special pack of like an alternate universe where this is called Shattered Grid. This is based on the Boom Comics line, and Tommy Oliver never goes good and stays evil and becomes a character known as Lord Draken. And this is a really cool box. And I was actually hoping it was going to come prior to this video. I believe it's on its way. It's just not here yet. I have the Kickstarter exclusive box from the most recent Kickstarter coming as well. So I'm really excited about that. But I'm going to go ahead and show you. Here is a Putty Patroller. These are the foot soldiers of the game. And what you do, so let me get into actually how you play now that I'm done talking about just Power Rangers, is, like I said, you're going to have a deck of 10 cards. So let me just go ahead and get Mighty Morphin Green here. So here's Mighty Morphin Green's hand of 10. You go ahead, you shuffle those up, and you can draw any number of cards up to the hand limit of that game. So let's say I want to draw 3 cards. The rest are my deck, but remember, it's also my life. So I have 3 cards in my hand. I have a reaction, I have an attack, and I have a special attack. The attack will show you a number of, if I can get that to show up here, a number of dice symbols. This one only has 1. And what you need that for is you have little attack dice. And so if you roll a circle like that, it doesn't do anything. If you roll a single burst, it does 1 attack, or 1 damage. And if you roll a double burst, it does 2 damage. So this is similar to a couple of other games that we covered in the list already, where you have to roll dice to do damage. And as I've said on those other games, I really like that aspect. So you have to play the card to be able to attack, but then you have to roll to do the damage. And when you start a battle, you can always draw up to your hand limit if you feel like you need better cards. But when you are attacked by enemies, and the way they do that is, these are the, okay, gotta get the enemy cards out here for a second. So you have these deployment cards. Just grab a handful of these. You have deployment cards like this. They will show little areas, and these areas are, they make a grid on the board. You have these little wedges, and these wedges are going to do that and make a circle. So you have 4 different areas, if I could hold them all together. Let's see if I can do that. You have 4 different areas like that. Those deployment cards are going to tell you where to put the enemies. So you have the Putty Patrollers, which are the foot soldiers. And so you would go ahead and draw not that card, this card. You draw a card, and it will say Putty Patroller, and show you 2 of them. So you take 2 Putty Patrollers, and then you put them in the area that the back of the card says, or the next of the draw pile. So in this case, Ernie's Juice Bar. So you take 2 Putty Patrollers and you put them in Ernie's Juice Bar. And you do that for 4 cards if you're playing on easy mode, and 5 cards if you're playing on, I believe, normal mode. I've never played on that mode before because 4 per turn just seems hard enough as is. And so we would go ahead and we would take Ernie's Juice Bar here, and we would put those on that. You flip another card and you do the same thing until you put them all around. Now, if an area ever reaches a number of figures in it, enemy figures, that matches the number in the triangle there, it becomes panicked. That means that no other enemy figures can be added to that area, and if you have to, you add them to the next area in clockwise order. If at any time all 4 areas of your map become panicked, the Rangers lose the game. Now, there are also monsters. So this is one of Rita Repulsa's monsters. This is Bones. That is in that same deck of deployment cards. You make 4 separate stacks. In the first stack, you don't put a monster at all. Second stack, you put 1 monster. In the third stack, you put a monster. And in the fourth stack, you put a boss. In this case, in the base game, the only boss is Rita Repulsa. In Shattered Grid, they consider Lord Draken a boss. And in the box that's coming to me soon, they consider Lord Zed a boss, which I'm really, really excited for Lord Zed and the Z-Putties. So you have to fight 2 bosses, and you have to fight Rita to win the game. What you do to fight these characters is they will deploy, after they deploy and you engage them in battle, they will get these cards. So let's go ahead and grab some putty cards here. Let's say there are 4 putties out. You take these cards, you put them in face-up order. If there's any cards that say fast, you will move them to the front. And then any cards that say guard, you can only attack that one. You cannot attack anything to its left, to its right, above, or below. And they have a health, so it shows you how much damage you have to do. And the way it works is that unless they have a fast card, Rangers go first. You can attack any one you want unless there's a guard ability. Usually you want to attack the first one depending on what the things say. Then if you kill a putty, you flip it over. If you don't, it stays like this. The putty activates. You do whatever the card says. In most cases, is to do damage or drain your energy, or even create more putties, which is the worst. If you killed it, it just goes sideways. That's their turn, and you keep going. So if you can, on every turn, knock out a putty, they go. Knock out a putty, they go. Knock out a putty, they go. That's the best way to do it, but it doesn't always work that way. Now, with the bosses, they work a little bit differently. Or the monsters, I should say. So let's go ahead and get a couple of Bones' cards. Bones. Now, there's 4 monsters in the base game. Each of them has a slightly different play style. So, depending on which monster you play, the cards are going to be different. And Bones is like all of his cards are fast, so he's always going to go first. The monster cards have more health than the putties, which makes sense as well. And they usually do more damage than the putties. And to beat a monster is you have to defeat 4 of their cards. Once you defeat a card, at the end of that battle, that card's never going to go back. So even if you don't defeat all 4 in one turn, that card is gone. So if you get like a really bad card, that's one to target so that it doesn't go back into his deck. And then when you fight him again, you draw another 4. But once you defeat 4 monster cards in 1 or 2 turns, whatever it takes, shouldn't take more than 2, but if it does, then 3 turns or whatever, then that monster is taken off the field, and that comes into the field just like a putty would, and the bosses are the same way. But bosses, you have to defeat 6 cards, and you only ever put out 4, so you have to fight the boss twice. And it is an interesting game. The game is fully cooperative. I don't even think I've said that yet. It's a fully cooperative game, and it really hits on that message of the Power Rangers are always best when they work together. Some of these Ranger combinations work really, really well in conjunction with each other. And you can even play where each person, like if you're only playing 3 players, each player can control 2 Rangers. And that's even more fun. So it's a lot of Ranger lore. Like you got a bunch of Rangers. They already have a bunch of other content that I don't have that I would love to get my hands on. But it is a great, great game. The art is really, really cool. I think that Renegade Games has done Power Rangers super, super solid with this game. If you like Power Rangers at all, if you like cooperative miniatures games at all, you should 100% check out Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid from Renegades Game Studios in at number 9. Number 8. Number 8 is another cooperative game based on an IP. This time it is based on the Wizarding World, and that is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle from the Op. And I am not a big Harry Potter fan. My wife and the rest of my game group are huge Harry Potter fans. And as I have said before on previous occasions, I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and I still love this game. So this game just has such a streamlined deck building system. This is a deck building game. This is a deck building game where you're mostly acquiring cards to get better cards, but you are actually doing something else where you are assigning damage to the villains of the Harry Potter world to try to defeat them, just as Harry Potter and his group of friends would do so. Now, I actually just recently got another game, similar system, just a different IP, from the Op, and that is Toy Story Obstacles and Adventures. And I haven't had a chance to play that one yet. I have opened it up and done an unboxing of it on my Twitch channel, but I have not gotten to play it yet. And I'm interested to see how similar or different Obstacles and Adventures Toy Story is to Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. But go ahead and open this up. First off, you have your nice board that has the Marauder. It looks like a trunk. It looks like the whole thing is like designed like you're opening up a trunk, which is really kind of cool. And you have this board. So here is your board. And you put your acquiring cards over on this side of the board. You're going to have a location up here, and this is what like the Death Eaters are trying to take over, and if they go through enough locations, the Death Eaters win the game, or the bad guys. You're going to have your stack of villains right here, and then depending on the level that you play, up to 3 villains at a time down here, and then you can have special other cards in the middle. I'm not going to quite spoil them for you, and the reason for that is that this is basically it's a campaign game, because when you open up the game, it will have 7 talk boxes in it. And those are fairly representative of the 7 books in the original Harry Potter story. Those boxes, you will open them up one by one, and basically the first 2 or 3 boxes are teaching you concepts of the game. So that's kind of like the tutorial of the game. By the time you get to boxes 6 and 7, I would say, you start to really get into difficult territory. This game can be very challenging, as most cooperative games can be. But you given different characters. Let me see what I got here. Those are. So I don't want to show you too much because this has a lot of discovery aspects to it. As most, again, it's not a legacy game. It's definitely a campaign game though. You could put everything back in the boxes and play it again, or give it to somebody else and play it again. But what you do is you have this little health board, and you're always going to start at 10 health, and you can go up and down based off of cards and what things do. You get these lightning bolts that are your attack points, and then you get these little coins. I believe they call them influence, but they look like little galleons, which is the money that they use. And you use those to acquire new cards. Cards can be other allies in the Wizarding World. They can be magical items, or they can be spells. And you have different player powers that like to use all three of those different aspects. You will also have to flip what they call dark arts cards. And these dark arts cards at the very beginning of the turn, it's like the bad guys hitting back at you, trying to make you do something. So you flip a dark arts card, then you check to see if you have anything special in the middle. Then you check your villains and see what powers they have. Once you have checked all that stuff, you adjust your health accordingly. If you're still, if you're stunned, you're going to have to get rid of cards. You can still play your turn. You're never like knocked out and don't get to play, which is a really nice feature. You just get stunned and you have to not have as many cards in your hand. But once you get to play, you get to play your cards. At that point, it's like a deck building game. You draw your, you play cards to get coins and attack power. You put your attack power out. You use your coins to buy cards. And at the end of your turn, you put all of your cards into your discard pile and you draw back up to your hand limit. And then you go ahead and you do that until you go through all the villains, or the villains have gone through all of the locations, and you see which side wins the game. Like I said, once you get to boxes 6 and 7, things really start to get difficult. Now, my one gripe about the base game was in the Dark Arts stack, there are certain cards that say, draw an additional Dark Arts card. Well, in the original base game alone, there were a lot of cards that said, draw an additional Dark Arts card. And if you happen to shuffle poorly, or there was just that many cards in it, you could, when you were only supposed to draw one, you could draw 5 or 6 Dark Arts cards. And if you draw that many in a turn, it's going to hurt, and hurt badly, and end up very poorly for yourself. It seemed, maybe it wasn't broken, but it was maybe fractured, or sprained. Like, sprained is probably the term to use. That was fixed by the introduction of the first expansion, which was the Monster Box of Monsters. They added a lot more Dark Arts cards. Few of them had that draw an additional Dark Arts card. They also added a new villain type. So before everything was villains, now they added creatures as well. And not every Dark Arts card affects both enemy types. So some will only say villains and some will only say creatures. So it doesn't always trigger the same way either. It balanced out the game a lot more and really took Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle from a game that we enjoyed to a game that deserved to be in my top 10. I eventually will be doing a list of essential expansions, and the Monster Box of Monsters is, in my opinion, an essential expansion for Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Now, just recently, here in the fall, they released another expansion for this game, and that is the Charms and Potions expansion. I have done an unboxing for this video here on the channel during ROCtober for the box 1 in this. So each expansion comes with 4 more tuck boxes. So the Monsters box had 4. This has 4 as well. I only unboxed the first box in that pack and kind of showed you some of the stuff in there. So I will link to that in this video and you can see what's there. We have played through 3 of the 4 games in the Charms and Potions expansion as well. We opened up the 4th box, but we haven't played with it yet, and I am interested to see if anything changes there. It adds more stuff to the game and adds another really cool power that I really, really like. I will say this is a expansion that is great to have. It does not hurt the game in any way. And if you didn't have, I would be interested to see how it would affect if you didn't have Monsters Box of Monsters and you only had this. Because we didn't separate, I haven't played it like that yet. I might try to do so I can maybe let you guys know. But this is an expansion I would say that you would want. The Monsters Box of Monsters expansion is an expansion that you should absolutely have if you're getting Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. But again, this is a deck building game. It is cooperative. And I would say that the system is so good that you do not have to be a fan of Harry Potter to enjoy this game. If you are a fan of Harry Potter, though, you're probably going to love this game. Now, again, I want to take a look at Toy Story Obstacles and Adventures because it is a similar system. I'm not necessarily a big Toy Story fan either, so I'll see which one I like more. I'm probably just going to like Harry Potter more just because I am already into this game so much, but I am very excited to see how it all goes. So in at number 8 on my top 67 games of all time, from the op, that is Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle. Number 7. In at number 7 is, if my memory serves me correctly, the first hobby board game that I ever played, and definitely still to this day my favorite of the classic hobby board games, and that is Ticket to Ride from Days of Wonder. And I know a lot of people are going like, oh my gosh, Ticket to Ride, we played Ticket to Ride so much. And that's fine. I know some people get tired of playing the same game over and over. To be honest, we have so many games that I don't play this game that much anymore. But there was a time where we played it a lot. There was a time, I mean, I'm sure not anymore. There was a time playing Ticket to Ride that I had all of the routes memorized, where I could see kind of where somebody was starting to play their trains and be like, oh, you have Portland to Pittsburgh, right? And they would kind of look at me and be like, But I loved playing that game so much. And I don't have really any of the expansion maps. Stands for 1. And that is specifically what this is, the number 7 is. And that is Ticket to Ride, not United Kingdom, Pennsylvania, down here in the corner of this. And this is one because I grew up in Pennsylvania, so it does have some meaning to me that way. But I really enjoy the mechanism of Pennsylvania specifically. So one thing is, on all of these special expansion maps for Ticket to Ride, each of them has a little bit of a gimmick to them, so to say. And on Pennsylvania, here's the map of Pennsylvania. Go ahead and see if we can get that to not be glary. There you go. It looks like a Ticket to Ride map, but it's of Pennsylvania. But what they have are these stocks. And so you have stocks on here that you do not have in the normal normal Ticket to Ride game. And each time you put down your trains on a specific route, there are one or more options of a stock. Each stock has a different number to them. So Pennsylvania Railroad has 15 different stocks. You have the B&O Railroad, Baltimore and Ohio, that has 10. You have the what do we got here? The Reading Railroad, that is 7. And yes, if you are from Pennsylvania, it is Reading, not Reading. On Monopoly, it is not the Reading Railroad. It is the Reading Railroad. Don't ask me why. Growing up in Pennsylvania, it is the Reading Railroad. But so you have those cards. Now, because this is a double pack here, like I said, I specifically put this on the list for Pennsylvania. But you also have the map of the United Kingdom here on the other side as well. So you have a set of cards for both Pennsylvania. So you've got all of your tickets for Pennsylvania. Here's Ontario to Pittsburgh, Erie to Altoona, Baltimore to Philadelphia. So Pennsylvania, you have a couple of cities that are not in Pennsylvania on the outskirts, like they do for some of these maps. So you have Baltimore, Cumberland, Maryland, Morgantown, West Virginia, Wheeling, West Virginia, Youngstown, Ohio, Ontario, just Ontario, Canada, Buffalo, New York, Rochester, New York, Syracuse, New York, Albany, New York, New York, New York, Atlantic City, New Jersey. Yeah. And so you have all those on the outside. So it's not just Pennsylvania. You still have a couple of outskirts cities as well. But it is very cool. It's a map that I know very well because I spent, the majority of my life in Pennsylvania. And the stock aspect adds an extra flavor to Ticket to Ride. So not only are you trying to put your trains down in the best order like you would in normal Ticket the Ride. You're trying to get these numbers of stocks, and whoever has the most of a stock collects points. The one that has 15 stocks, if you have the most, you're going to get 30 points for that. And it also is if you get the tiebreaker is whoever has the higher number. So getting the first of those stocks, you having the one, is very valuable as well. And since there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, looks like 9 different stocks, you have a bunch of different options to go for. And like I said, each one, it might be, I'm sure there's some sort of historical aspect of like the lines that they were, but each one has 1, 2, like 3 or 4 different options. And when you put the trains down on that space, you get to choose right then and there which one you want, and you can't like trade them in afterwards. It just adds a little bit extra. Again, at its core, it is just regular Ticket to Ride, but it's on a new map. So if you've burnt out on regular Ticket to Ride, I would suggest go ahead and taking a look at the expansion maps. If there might be an expansion map that is meaningful to you in some way. For me, Pennsylvania is that map. Now, if, let's say you lived in the United Kingdom, you flip the board over, the United Kingdom is going to be the map for you. But I am highlighting Pennsylvania, but really this is a all-encompassing, just like Pandemic Fall of Rome was encompassing all of a pandemic, but highlighting Fall of Rome. This is highlighting Pennsylvania, but encompassing all of Ticket to Ride. I will always be up for a game of Ticket to Ride, even though, you know, some people may not be anymore. I enjoy playing the game. It's quick. It's easy to play. Some people think it's it's not a brain burner, but you can overthink it with the routes and stuff like that. You just play. You have a lot of fun. There is another game in the system that we enjoy, which is called Rails and Sails, and that allows you to go over water with boats, and that has a Great Lakes map on it, which is even better because I used to live in Pennsylvania, and now I live in Michigan, and it encompasses both of those. And so my game group here in Michigan even likes that one a lot because you can do that. You can also flip it over and you have the entire world on there, which is really, really cool. And of course, Ticket to Ride has the small box games. You have New York, London, and now Amsterdam, which you can play those games in like 10 to 15 minutes. So to have a game system so versatile that you can have games like base Ticket to Ride, you can have games like Nordic countries or these expansion maps like Pennsylvania, and then you have Rails and Sails, which is a bigger box, or you have the really small ones like New York. But at the same time, they're all still Ticket to Ride. It is a great game. It's a game that I love playing. It is a competitive game, but you can block people, but at the same time, it's never like, I guess you could play maliciously if you wanted to, but my game group, we don't do that. So it is just a fun build your train game. It is really the only train game I've ever really gotten into. I've never played game like 18xx games. Those just look like too much to me. But good old Ticket to Ride, I will always be down for it. And like I said, if you're looking for something a little different than just base Ticket to Ride, I would highly suggest checking out the Pennsylvania map. So that is Ticket to Ride Pennsylvania in at number 7. Number 6. Number 6 on this list is a series of games that I went back and forth on if I was going to include it all on this list. And ultimately, I came to the decision clearly that I was. Now, I'm not going to be able to talk much about these games, and you're about to find out why. But in at number 6, I am putting the Pandemic Legacy series. So this is Season 1 and Season 2. Now, the reason I'm doing it this way is, to me, these games are almost an experience. They are, so far of what I have played, the best Legacy games. I have played a handful of others. I have a couple more that I need to play. But of the ones I played, these are the best. I didn't even consider putting another Legacy game on this list. This is an exception to my list. I wasn't even going to, and then I said, you know what? I enjoy these games so much that they have to be on this list. And I'm putting them together because I didn't want them to take up two different spots. And to be completely honest, if I was to have rated them separately, this would have probably came in a little bit lower on the list, and this would have probably came in within the top 5. By putting them together, they come here at 6. So I made a little bit of a compromise there. I'm also putting them together because they are one continuous story. You play one, and then if you wish to, you can play 2. It's not really... You probably could play 2 without playing 1, but it might not make a lot of sense. Now, as everybody who's watching this knows, there is also a Pandemic Legacy Season 0. That's coming out. I have it on order. Whenever the order is fully fulfilled of pre-orders and everything is readily available, that will get sent to me. The minute it is in this house, we will start playing it. I am extremely excited for Season 0. And Season 0 has a Cold War theme. I just recently discovered Twilight Struggle and love the theme of that game. I just got it for Steam, and I plan on playing it on my Twitch channel sometime. I'm fascinated by that theme. I cannot wait to see how the makers of Pandemic Legacy incorporate a Cold War theme into Pandemic Legacy. So just a really, really quick rundown because I do not want to spoil anything. Pandemic Legacy Season 1. Both of these are cooperative games where you are trying to fight deadly viruses that are taking over the world. And if you do not do so, you will lose. But the great thing about Legacy games is as you progress through the story, things are changing. You are going to open components. You are going to make changes on the board that cannot be undone. And when you are done with the game, you can't necessarily go back and start over. You can play a game at the end. There's an end game that you can play. Like you can use that board to play, but it's not. You can't go back and start the campaign over. You'd have to buy a whole nother box. Now, with both Season 1 and Season 2, they made 2 boxes. So for Season 1, there is a red and a blue box, and in Season 2, there is a yellow and a black box. Those are actually the same. So red and blue boxes are the same. It's just if you wanted to buy them both so you can know, like, oh, I can have a campaign in my blue box and a campaign in my red box, and I have an idea which one's which, instead of trying to figure out, oh, I didn't mean to open that one yet. So that kind of thing. But, so in this is most similar to playing a game of Pandemic. So we covered, Pandemic Fall of Rome. That one's actually a little different than most base Pandemic 2, but this is most similar to base Pandemic, especially when you start. Like, the first game of this is basically Pandemic. But as you go, you get new things, you get new powers, and you're adding new abilities to the game that change things. And there are twists. Like, there is a huge twist that anybody who plays this game knows. Like, you have people who are before the twist and then people who are after the twist, and that made a huge impression on people. And this is what I say is the outlier game on the BGG top 10. Most of the games on the BGG top 10 fall into a specific category: expensive game that takes a long time to play. Pandemic Legacy, it's not cheap by any means, but it is a much quicker game than most of the games on that top 10, and much lighter game too. Most of the games on the top 10 are a BGG weight of 3 or higher, and averaging like 80 minutes to play, if not 2 to 3 hours. It was the average when I figured that out. This is the outlier of that. It takes maybe about an hour to play a game. The weight is under 2.5 or right around there. And again, like I said, it is mostly the game of Pandemic. Pandemic Legacy Season 2 flips everything you know about Pandemic on its head. And I love that. When you start out in base Pandemic Legacy Season 1, you have a full world map. You have every city on the map. When you start out in Pandemic Legacy Season 2, you have a very small map. There is only certain cities that you can see, and one of the biggest selling points of Pandemic Legacy Season 2 is the exploration aspect. And when I say you flip Pandemic on its head, in Pandemic, you are being retroactive. You are trying to fight a disease that's already there. You're trying to, when the disease comes out, you have to try to go and cure it. So you're being retroactive. In Pandemic Legacy Season 2, I like it more because you're actually being proactive. The mechanism, instead of going, putting cubes on the board as the disease and then going there and curing it to remove those cubes, the core mechanism is you are providing supplies. And so you go to a city and you give them cubes, and those are the supplies. And if the cubes are ever taken away, then that's what's bad. So I like the concept of being proactive and the exploration aspect even more in Pandemic Legacy Season 2. Now, I have played a demo of the prologue of Pandemic Legacy Season 0. So I don't know any of the legacy aspects, but I know the core, there's some of the key mechanisms. And I'm super excited for that. And in no way do I expect Pandemic Legacy Season 0 to affect the rating of this series in a negative way. I will be very interested to see if Pandemic Legacy Season 0 can bump this into my top 5, because it's currently right on the cusp. We're at number 6. But if you like Pandemic, if you like cooperative games, and if for somehow you like legacy games and haven't played Pandemic Legacy, which I mean, I'm sure there's somebody out there, everybody has different situations, but these games are the preeminent legacy game. They are experiences that as a board gamer you should have. If you can, right now it's hard to play legacy games because of the current situation, because of, hey, the pandemic. Getting groups together is very difficult. Eventually we will get through this. When we do, and we can have normal game groups together again, if you have not experienced these games, get them. It is recommended, number 1, that you play Pandemic Season 1, Legacy Season 1. At that point, you can make a choice. You can play, technically you could play Season 0 at any time, but Season 0 may be harder to start with if you aren't used to any sort of legacy. If you haven't started with any sort of legacy before, but you have played Pandemic, absolutely start with Season 1. If you're an experienced legacy player, you can start with 0. The last game in the series you should play is Season 2. This is the most different. Like I said, it flips everything about Pandemic on its head. Instead of a big map, you start with a small map. Instead of being retroactive and trying to cure, you're being proactive and trying to provide supplies. And I love both of these games. They would both probably be within my top 15. Pandemic Season 2 specifically would probably be in my top 5. But together, and anticipating Season 0 when it does come, and I can't wait to play that, they are number 6 at my top 67 games of all time. That is the Pandemic Legacy series from Z-Man Games. Now it is time for the recap of today's video. At number 10 was Welcome to New Las Vegas from Blue Cocker and Deepwater Games. Number 9 was Power Rangers Heroes of the Grid from Renegade Game Studios. Number 8 was Harry Potter Hogwarts Battle from the Op. Number 7 was Ticket to Ride, specifically the Pennsylvania map, but overall just Ticket to Ride from Days of Wonder. And number 6, the Pandemic Legacy series from Z-Man Games. Thank you all so much for checking out this video and all the videos in my top 67 board games of all time and all of ROCtober. We are getting towards the end of the month. Remember, if you watch the videos over the course of the month and leave comments in the comment section, you are entered into Board Game Trick or Treat, where we will be giving away board games during our board game Halloween costume Among Us party over on my Twitch channel Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be going live, and I will be telling you the winners over the course of that stream. After that fact, over here on YouTube, I will post a video either Saturday or Sunday or Monday, also announcing the winner. So if you don't come over to Twitch, don't feel bad. You will find out the winners here on the YouTube channel as well. Remember to go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Leave a like on this video. Comment down below to get that entry. And please, if you have any, share this video with friends who like board games. I would love to be able to get this out to more people so we can show people great games. We can show people Rolling with Roc's content. All of your help and all of your support is so appreciated. This month has been extremely exhausting for me. I hope you guys are enjoying the content, and I thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow on Thursday for an unboxing of Hues and Cues from the Op, and then on Friday, it's finally here, the top 5 games on my top 67 of all time. That will go live on Friday. I will be trying to, if I can get it up in time, that's been a struggle here lately. If I can get up in time, I might try to do a premiere for that on YouTube. I've actually never done a premiere before, but it looks like it's something pretty cool to do, and I can engage with my chat, so I would love to be able to do that. I'm going to try to do that. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Remember, if you want to, you can check out Oxeye Media's Twitch channel and go play Welcome to New Las Vegas today. They would probably love to have you there. And until next time, this is AJ from Rolling with Roc, and you are watching ROCtober.